So, coming into training camp, I was mainly focused on two things, the wide receiver position and the interior offensive line. Those were the biggest camp battles. And so far in camp, it's been Keandre Lambert-Smith out of Auburn, the fifth-round rookie. 2 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown in the Hall of Fame game. This guy is an absolute stud. He looks like a seasoned veteran out there. We saw, of course, just one move, and he's got his man beat in man coverage. Seems like an automatic touchdown. Trey Harris, though, got a slow start to camp because he was trying to get his contract situation figured out. He ends up hiring an agent, then he gets the deal done, and about 6 or 7 days after that, he's practicing with the team. And you look at the first really, dozen practices the Chargers have had, Harris didn't have that one breakout day. He had a couple of good ones, but Sunday was without question his best so far. He and Herbert had insane chemistry. Talk about Ladd McConkey and Herbert last season, it was very similar to that. And funny enough, speaking of Ladd McConkey, though it's not really funny, he was out of Sunday's practice. He's missed the past couple. He's been getting some light work in. It's a very minor injury according to Greg Roman. But because McConkey hasn't been practicing, that allows Harris to step in and get more of an opportunity. And Herbert, he's going to pick his guy on third down and he's going to go at him every single time. It's the same thing with Ladd McConkey and Herbert last year. On big downs, Herbert was looking for him. No matter if he had 2 guys, 3 guys on him, that's who he was going to. And that's what we saw out of Harris in practice. I haven't really spoken much about Herbert because we've been talking about all these rookies, but Herbert was phenomenal throwing to the deep parts of the field yesterday. He had that insane back shoulder throw to Trey Harris, but he also had an explosive pass to tight end Orana Gadsden. I feel like we haven't talked about him much. He was great to start camp, kind of slowed down, but had a big explosive catch yesterday. Darius Davis also made plays. You look at Jaylen Johnson. He had a 55-yard touchdown catch down the seam. So Herbert was looking for these guys. The first-team offense and defense were in a situational red zone drill. The offense took over at the 10-yard line with 18 seconds on the clock. On 1st and goal, Herbert hit Hampton on an angle route out of the backfield. An angle route is basically like a Texas route. Cut to the side, then to the middle. I believe that's what they're saying. Everyone calls it something different, but I think that's what it was. That got the Chargers inside the 5-yard line. They're 3 yards from scoring. The offense runs up, spikes it, 7 seconds left. On 3rd and goal, who does Herbert go to? Keandre Lambert-Smith on an in-breaking route in the back of the end zone, but Dante Jackson had tight coverage and forced the incompletion. I've been talking about Dante a lot this offseason, how I thought he had the potential to step in and play right away for the Chargers. Great to see him make a big-time play, especially against Lambert-Smith, who's been breaking out. The reason I brought that up is because Nico Reed ended up getting in there with the first-team defense. Nico's been my favorite player so far during training camp. He didn't even get a combine invite. Very under the radar. Nobody thought he'd make the roster, including me. I wasn't talking about Nico Reed coming into camp. He's just been an absolute stud. And he had an interception in the Hall of Fame game against the Lions. Pretty cool. Reed said it himself after practice, "I proved that I belong." This isn't an ordinary situation for the Chargers. They were already pretty strong at corner. Last season, a couple of day 3 picks ended up getting play due to injuries and made the most of it. Now, despite a more crowded cornerback room, Reed's still standing out. The Chargers went out and got Dante Jackson. They brought in Benjamin St-Juste. They've got Josser Taylor, who's very solid, Tony Jefferson at safety. So, a lot of DBS. But Nico Reed is making a very strong case for playing time. Now, Trey Harris, this video is mainly about him. I didn't want to get to the biggest points at the beginning so you'd stick around. A few third downs come up. Herbert needs a go-to guy. He and Harris connect for 3 third down conversions, 2 in 7 on 7, 1 in 11 on 11. Harris caught 4 of 5 targets from Herbert. That's impressive. They've had some reps together, but not a ton. So 4 out of 5 is big time, especially against the first-team defense. And seeing the praise from Harris talking about Herbert, how he's a gunslinger, no window he's afraid to throw into, stepping up in the pocket, and 9 times out of 10, it's a perfect ball. That's what playing with Justin Herbert feels like. That's why I always say Herbert is a top 5 QB. I put Herbert over Jalen Hurts. Even though Hurts, a second-round pick out of Alabama, wasn't raw, he was really good, but it took him some time to become that guy. I watched him grow. I like Hurts. But Herbert, when he came into the league, He was better than everyone with his arm, his accuracy, his IQ, his work ethic. And I feel like this is the first time the Chargers have consistently been able to put help around him. They've tried and failed before, but Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman seem to be on top of things. Got to give credit to the front office, too. Last season, the Chargers weren't expected to do much. A winning season was the goal. They won 11, went to the wild card, fell short, but then they added the pieces to avoid that happening again. And it starts with Trey Harris. The Chargers' interior offensive line was their biggest concern. They got Mekhi Becton, who, by the way, didn't practice yesterday. I should have mentioned that. We'll get to the O-line. At receiver, production outside was lacking. Quentin Johnston dealt with drops, kind of slow off the line. Nothing special there. Tight end? No real playmaker. No Arond Gadsden. Will Dissly had a breakout year but had drops. He's not really built for that role. Now, you've got Trey Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith. It should be fun. Mike Williams retired, which sucks, but I think Johnston is about to break out. He looked better in camp. He had good camps early in his career, but now he's tracking the ball, making adjustments. And finally, edge rusher Caleb Murphy. Looks like a lock for the 53-man roster. I think the Chargers will carry 5 edge rushers, which sounds crazy. But Khalil Mack, Tuli Tuipulotu, and Bud Dupree had 2 sacks yesterday. Those 3 are locks. The Chargers also drafted an edge in the 4th round, Kyle Kennard. He hasn't had a standout camp, but is great against the run. Murphy, though, is first team on special teams. The first play of the Hall of Fame game caused a fumble and return. He's made run stuffs and pressures, too. No way they leave their 4th round edge off the 53rd. And Brendan Rice, last time I talked about him, I said he was disappointed, but he had his best day yesterday. 2 touchdowns in 11 on 11. One was a fade from Trey Lance at the 5-yard line with 7 seconds left, leaped over Dean Leonard. The other was from DJ Uiagalelei, a deep shot in double coverage over Kendall Williamson. Great job. Last note, first team offensive line. No Mekhi Becton. It was Rashawn Slater, Bradley Bozeman, Zion Johnson, Jamari Salyer, and Joe Alt. Looks like the final spot comes down to Salyer and Zion. I think Bozeman is a lock. I don't see Zion playing center at the NFL level, which means Bozeman stays at center. So who plays left guard? The right guard is obviously Becton. So Zion or Salyer, we'll see.